Hey everybody, Shawn James here. Welcome back to the cabin. I'm up on the roof of the sauna right now, and I just thought I'd answer some questions because I did get a lot of questions about why the moss on the roof. Several answers to that question. First of all, I've always wanted to put a green roof on a log cabin. It just seems very fitting, more fitting than a metal roof, for example. And couldn't do it on the main cabin because the pitch was too steep, and same with the forest kitchen. And the other thing is that you need to have a very strong structure in order to hold all that weight, because when it's lower slope like that, not only is the moss holding the water, it also holds a lot more snow when it's low pitch like that. The cabin is so steep that really doesn't get a lot of snow buildup on it ever, so it's there's never really a risk of that roof collapsing. So besides the aesthetics, the moss itself, this is sphagnum moss, and it's a very good insulator. It absorbs moisture, so it's a very good absorption material, but it has all these air pockets in it, and those air pockets are what gives it the insulative value. So having it on the roof like this is keeping the inside of the sauna, inside of the cabin, warmer. It's not really a lot on here. I need to keep adding to it. The issue is going to be an issue for a lot of these moss roofs, is that in the summer they tend to dry out and then they die, and then it just blows away or it can catch on fire. Now, if you remember when I was building this roof, putting the roof on this cabin, there's a tree here and a tree here that I was making sure I did not cut down, even though they're really close to the cabin. Well, the reason for that is I knew I was putting this moss roof or a living roof on this cabin, and I wanted these trees to provide shade. So you can see when I try to drone from above, take drone images of this sauna, can't actually see it through the trees because it's all the branches come together and they block out most of the sun. So it really doesn't get much sun to dry it out. People ask about breeze, high winds coming in and blowing all this off. First of all, as long as it's wet, it stays pretty heavy, so it doesn't tend to blow off. But the other thing about this spot, this location, and it is one of the reasons I chose it, there's very rarely any wind that actually comes in and reaches this cabin. So totally surrounded by trees on this side and trees on this side, but more importantly, they got the cabin, forest kitchen, and all the other obstructions here blocking that wind. So it really just doesn't get much wind. So I'm not too worried about that. I do have some horizontal members in here halfway. Of course, I do have them at the bottom at the eaves, so that's stopping the whole thing from sliding down. I will need to put a few more, I would say maybe even 2 more on each section, just logs or like branches going across horizontally to, again, stop that from sliding down. What tends to happen on these types of roofs is that it does slowly slide over time, especially the soil underneath, and it collects at the eave, and the roof gets quite thick down there where the vegetation, and then near the top is quite thin. So because I need to keep heat in this sauna section back here, this back part of the cabin, I need this to be very thick. Now, I'm a little bit, I'm not nervous, but I'm suspecting or expecting the moss on this side of the cabin underneath or above the hot section of the sauna to probably die from the heat. I would think that the heat's going to dry it out. So if that happens, that's fine. That won't give as much insulation, but I think what's probably going to happen, the way I'm planning on correcting that, is that this moss is essentially a base. And then on top of this moss base, I'm going to add sod. So you saw me cutting out some pieces, and I did that mostly over here, of actual sod from down behind the cabin. So in other words, the dirt and the roots as well, put that on the roof. And the stuff that I put in the corner there earlier in the summer actually did stay alive. And it's more likely to stay alive when it has a full roof vegetation, because the sun doesn't get a chance to heat up the roof membrane, and also just it's less exposure from wind to the sides of the sod when it's monolithic, when it's fully covered, so that you don't get that drying out and then the killing of the roots. So that's the plan, is to keep adding more sod on top of this. I think the soil from the sod will continue to filter down into the moss, and hopefully stop it from rotting, but certainly probably will keep it alive so that the moss starts rising to the top through the multiple layers, and I get a nice mix of moss and grass on the roof here. Now, as far as risk of fire, a couple of things that I've done to mitigate that. One is that I do have quite a high roof or chimney sticking out of the roof. I think I'm probably going to add even one more section. That's about 4 feet up right now. I think I'll add another 3-foot section to get that even higher. So that's going to help. I'm only burning hardwood in this sauna, even the smaller pieces, the kindling, instead of like a pine or a hemlock or something else light from here, cedar. Those tend to spark a lot. So by using mostly hardwood and good quality hardwood that's seasoned, it tends not to spark as much or not at all. So that's two of the things I'm doing. The other thing is that I think in the winter, if I get enough vegetation on this roof, enough moss, once the snow comes, it's likely to, that adds insulation as well. But I think what I'm hoping to have happen is that not enough, or the moss is thick enough that not so much heat comes through that it melts the snow. So all winter long, I should have snow or ice on top of this roof. Now that raises another question. People are worried about the weight of the roof, weight of all this vegetation, the extra moisture that it holds, and then the snow that holds on top of that. I really did overbuilt both roofs, the main cabin and this one. This has ash hardwood beams running lengthways, so very, very strong, and then a full 2-inch thick wood roof going from the peak vertically down to the eave. So it's quite a strong roof, so I'm not worried about it. If I ever am concerned, I'll come up here once in a while and I'll put some extra weight on it to see if I hear any creaking or anything, but I don't suspect that's going to be an issue. And the thing about this cabin is it's not full occupancy. It's not like we're living in this sauna or this bathhouse. So not like in the middle of the night, it's going to snow, 2 feet of snow on top of this and collapse the roof with us inside of it. So I'm not worried about it. Yeah, I think so. These roofs typically do need maintenance. If you've followed along, you know that in the past I was a commercial roofer, owned a commercial roofing company, and we did commercial green roofs on big facilities, commercial facilities, like hotels and things like that. So I'm used to doing this type of roof and maintaining them. And it's very similar principle. This being sloped, I don't have quite the same materials that I would use. I normally would have used like lightweight ceramic soil that's lighter, and also sedum and other like succulents and other plants that can handle the drought conditions that are typical of a roof. Now that's typical situation for commercial roof. I'm talking about where it's exposed to wind and sun. Very, very harsh conditions on a typical commercial roof. Here in the woods, not worried about that at all again, because I have trees and the direct shade from those trees, but also the moisture that they put into the air tends to keep the forest much cooler than the open ground around here, or around especially cities. So that's it. Oh, the other thing is the reason green roofs are mandated actually in a lot of countries, even in the city of Toronto, for example, and Germany, most of Germany. These green roofs, it's natural vegetation and it's natural wildlife habitat and so on, but it also stops the building from heating up from the rays of the sun hitting a black roof and heating that up and then slowly releasing that heat back into the atmosphere. It's called the heat island. It's called a heat island, the principle is essentially cities become heat islands. We get all these surfaces absorbing moisture or sun and heat during the day and slowly releasing that. So cities are typically much warmer than the surrounding countryside. So these green roofs tend to absorb that sunlight, create respiration from the plant material, and keeps the cities cooler. And the second thing that it does is that it keeps the roof membrane from being exposed to the sun. Number one reason that roofs fail is from sun exposure, UV exposure. It breaks down that material, the roofing material. So these green roofs typically insulate and protect that roof membrane from variable temperatures, extreme temperatures, cold and hot, and so they even it out, and then they also protect the roof membrane from the UV rays of the sun. So it's not uncommon for a roof membrane underneath a green living roof to last, they're expected to last 40 plus years instead of the average 20. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I know I'm paying attention to your questions, your comments on all the videos on both channels. I'm going to try to continue to answer them as I can on this channel, on this sort of format. So if you have any comments, please ask them below or continue to ask them in other videos, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. So thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you up the cabin next time. Take care.